Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am unable to put my hair up, apparently. I'm gonna do a get ready with me using some new makeup. I know I had talked about in my favorites video how I've accumulated quite a bit of new makeup lately, and I probably have enough. I know I have enough for at least 2 videos. So this is one of 2. I've done my brows and primed my eyes. I've not color corrected my under eyes because I have a product that I'm going to try for that. So let's go ahead and get started. I purchased the Chantecaille Le Camouflage Stilo Anti-Fatigue Corrector Pen. I've seen a lot of people who love this. To be fair, a lot of the people who love this do not have super dark under eyes like I do, and I've seen a lot of them use it as a concealer. It does say corrector pen, and I got the color number 3, which is more of a peachy color. We're gonna try it as a corrector. I will tell you, it took me what felt like 30 minutes to prime this to actually come out of the pen. I have not tried this yet, except for on the back of my hand, and it seemed to be extremely light coverage. Because of that, I'm gonna try to press it in with a brush because, you know, the sponge can tend to pick up some product, and I just don't feel like I can afford to do that with this. So I'm just gonna press it in. It's not bad. I have some excess. I'm gonna put it on this little spot that always makes my nose look like it's bruised and see if that helps. So it's not as much coverage as my other correctors that I use, maybe for like no makeup days or something. I don't know. We'll have to see how that kind of wears. Let me know what you think about this as far as whether or not you use it as like a concealer or corrector, how you feel about the coverage, how you feel about the wear, all of that good stuff. So I was talking with Courtney from Harpen House on the phone the other day, which is so comical because we always say, hey, let's chat for a minute, and then it ends up being like 1 to 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, we gotta go, but it's so fun to talk about skincare makeup. And she was asking me if I had seen this new Clarity Anti-Aging Concealing Moisturizer. So I purchased a couple of things from Clarity when she first launched the brand on her site. I have the superfood, the fruit mask, which I love. The mist. I just purchased the clay mask, and then I got this. I did not even realize that this was a tinted moisturizer. I guess I just passed over it when I was looking on the website, but it's called the It's Becoming Anti-Aging Concealing Moisturizer. And it's one of these products where you pump it out and it's white, and then it kind of molds to the color of your skin as you rub it in. So I'm gonna take it. I wore it yesterday for the first time, and it's a true tinted moisturizer. It doesn't provide a ton of coverage, and my redness is gonna start to like show up a little bit more because I'm rubbing my face, but that will dial down in just a minute. But it does turn to a pigment to where I do need to make sure that I rub it in really well, because if I don't, I'm going to see the lines of demarcation to where it has turned, you know, a little bit of a different color. Yesterday, I wore it under the Glow Skin Beauty Powder Foundation, and I really liked it. So this can be used as a tinted moisturizer. It can be used as a primer. It can be used under a powder foundation. Lots of different ways to be used. So I really need to make sure I concentrate like right around my brows so I don't have like stripes of color, since I do my brows first. So it is pretty glowy. It does have some oils in it. The first ingredient is water, and then it has jojoba seed oil, apricot kernel oil, squalane, fruit extract, some hyaluronic acid, lots of good ingredients in this. And you can tell as it sits on the skin, it's kind of deepening a little bit in color, matching with my skin tone, and it looks pretty. Like my redness is dying down a little bit, but you can tell it's not super high coverage. I know a lot of y'all say you just don't wear makeup much anymore. You don't leave the house, you're working from home, and I get it. But if you want something just to even out your skin tone a little bit, has some skincare benefits in it, for the 2 times that I've worn this, I've enjoyed it. Let's move on to concealer. I used this on my Instagram the other day. I'm trying to put up those weekly get ready with me's. And this is from Inica Organics, which you can get at Frisco Beauty. And this is their full coverage concealer. So this is in the color Sand. And I talked about when I use pot concealers like this, I really like to use a fluffy eyeshadow brush with it versus going in with my finger and putting it on, because if I do it with my finger, it's too much coverage right off the bat. And with these, they're so concentrated in pigment that you don't need a ton. Less is definitely more. So I'm just taking a Wet n Wild eyeshadow brush. Doesn't matter what kind it is. I do personally think that synthetic bristles are best when you're using creams. But other than that, it doesn't matter what brand. And I'm just going to take it and pat it where I want the most coverage. And you'll be able to see the amount of coverage it gives, since I do think that Chantecaille was a little scarce when it comes to coverage on my circles. I am going to try it as a concealer on top of my normal corrector, and we'll see how that works. This is also a great concealer to use, you know, if you just want to wear something like a tinted moisturizer. You maybe need a little bit more coverage around your nose. Your chin needs a little bit more coverage, because it could honestly double as like a foundation. I'll let all of that sink in and move on to the eyes. I got the new Chantecaille Walk for Giant Safari Collection Eye Trio, which, can we just talk about how pretty this is? Chantecaille never disappoints on their packaging. This is obviously an elephant campaign, so they always give back parts of their proceeds to some kind of charity. Usually it has to do with saving a certain type of animal, and this one is elephants. You can see how gorgeous these three eye colors are. And it's hard to say whether or not they're all shimmery. The elephants on the eye colors do have an overlay on them, which does have a little bit more of a shimmer to it. But once you get past that, I really think they're more of a true satin eyeshadow. So I have not used this palette yet. I am going to go in with my Rephr #1 brush, and I'm going to go into this gold shade and really pack that on the brush and just sweep it across my lid. Okay, so this is a softer color. I am having to build it up. Let's try putting it on with my finger. There's nothing wrong with soft colors. In fact, the older I get, the more I appreciate them. But this is almost like a really pretty antique gold color. It's got a little bit of a green shift to it. So I do think applying it with my finger on that last coat kind of pumped up the pigment a little bit. Another thing I love about this palette is that it is refillable, and it fits the Chantecaille eyeshadow singles, so that when you do run out of these colors, while these are limited edition and you won't be able to get these exact colors, you can refill the palette with their permanent singles, which is just another way to increase sustainability within their brand, which I have just come to love and appreciate so much. So that is the gold color. And then I'm going to take a Scott Barnes #62 brush and go into this middle kind of maroon shade. And I'm going to put that through the crease. See if I can build that up. So it has a very, it's like maroon / brown. So you're not going to feel like you're putting a straight up burgundy on your eye, especially once you blend it out. It has more of like that brown undertone, but you can see a small shift of that kind of rust undertone. And I really just wanted to highlight this palette, so I'm not going to do anything else on the eyes. Plus my lip color is a little bolder than I usually wear, so I don't want to go super heavy on the eyes. I'm going to pat out any creases that may be there and use my Pat McGrath powder to set my under eyes, which you can tell I have hit pan on. So let's talk about what I'm going to set my face with. This is not new, but it's new to me. This is the Jane Iredale Amazing Base Loose Mineral Powder. Y'all probably know how much I love the Pure Pressed base. I have hit pan on it. I carry it in my purse with me with the flock sponge from Jane Iredale. I love it. And I just hit the camera, so I'm sorry. I've been wanting to try this for a long time. This is more of a luminous version. The pressed is more of a mattifying version. I got the same color. However, this is a little bit darker than the pressed. So if you know your color in the pressed, and you want to make sure you're pretty much spot on with that same color, I would probably go a shade down in the loose. And y'all, living in the country, you just have to deal with flies and gnats. So if you see anything flying around me, that's just part of our life now. So I also bought the chisel powder brush from Jane Iredale, which I've always seen used with this product. And, you know, I didn't need much more of an excuse than that to purchase a new brush. So I'm just pressing it into the product. And while most loose mineral bases you see being buffed into the face, this one is meant to swipe on. From all of the product, all the reps that I've seen use it, all of the Jane Iredale videos, they swipe it on. So you see the product on the brush right there. And then you basically just slide it down your face. I wore this the other day. I worked a wedding. I knew I was going to have a mask on, so I just put this over my foundation. I didn't put any other product on, and it wore beautifully. It is a more luminous version of the pressed powder. Being mineral, it does have some SPF in it. Let me see if it says on here. SPF 20. Again, don't like rely on that, but it doesn't hurt to have it added. And then I just kind of keep sweeping it on where I feel like I need more coverage. This isn't a full coverage product. I mean, maybe you could build it up that way. I don't think it is. It just gives a little bit of coverage and provides a pretty base. This is not new, but I don't really have any bronzer, and I've really been reaching for this a lot the past week or so, and it's the Bare Minerals Endless Summer Bronzer in Warmth, and I just love it. And so I'm going to use my Refer 22 brush and apply that bronzer. This is matte. So when I use something that's a little more luminous, like the Clarity Tinted Moisturizer, the Amazing Base, I tend to reach for more matte bronzers, especially maybe not blushes. But I feel like if I use like a luminous bronzer on top of all that, it just becomes a little too much. For blush and highlight, I'm going to be using one palette, and this is brand new from the brand called Suqqu, and I got this from selfridges.com, can't speak. Suqqu is a Japanese brand, really pretty products, and this is their Powder Blush Compact 101. So it has 4 powder blushes and 2 highlights. So I'm going to put a highlight on first, and I think I'm going to try this bottom one. I've used the top one before, but it's got a lot of pink in it, and I don't really have any pink colors on right now. So I'm going to use the bottom, which is more of like a champagne gold color. These highlights are a little more hard pressed into the pan, but you can tell they apply really, really, really pigmented. And then I think for blush, I'm going to take this color right down here. These don't have names on them, but it's the bottom left-hand shade. And I'm going to lightly, because these are very pigmented, swipe that on my cheeks. So these are swatches of the blushes. Those are 4 blushes, and those are the 2 highlights. Most of the, let's see, 2 of the blushes look pretty matte. They all have a slight sheen, but it's nothing super shimmery by any means. I'm going to use that middle color for underneath my eyes. And this is a Wayne Goss number 20 brush. And then I'll go back in to, I'll mix those 2 highlights for an inner corner highlight because the pink one is a tad brighter. I just feel like I need some kind of brightness. So for mascara, I'm putting on my Jane Iredale Lash Conditioner per usual. And this is not a new mascara, but it's a new one to me. And I'm using it because my daughter got into my backup drawer the other day and she opened it to see what the brush looked like. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna use that now since, you know, once you open a mascara, it automatically starts expiring from that day because it's getting air into the tube. And it's the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. Lots of people have talked about this. That's why I had it. I just never pulled it out of my backup drawer. This is the wand, pretty standard, but I used it yesterday and I honestly really liked it. So Again, this is not a new mascara to the market. A lot of people talk about it, but Essence is one of my favorite drugstore brands. They make great eyeshadows, they make great mascaras, and I've tried many of their mascaras before, just not this one. So I really like it though. That's mascara. 2 coats of the Essence Lash Princess mascara. And all we have left is lips. I have used this in a video on my other channel, but these are the new Beauty Counter Sheer Genius lipsticks. And this is in the color Orchid. So it's definitely a brighter color than I tend to use. The Sheer Genius lipsticks are awesome because they are almost like a tinted balm. They have a little bit more pigment than tinted lip balms, but they have less pigment than a traditional lipstick. So even though this looks super dark, it's gonna be darker than I normally use, but it's not near as dark as it is in the Bullet, if that makes sense. So Orchid is a very pretty berry red color. Very moisturizing on the lips. So this is the final look. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I have enjoyed everything that I have tried. The only thing I'm kind of iffy on is the Stilo pen, but again, I'm gonna keep trying it. I love these eyeshadows. I think they make a very sophisticated eye look. If you have mature eyes, because I know people always ask me, do you think those eyeshadows will work on mature eyelids? Most definitely. They are very forgiving. Again, they're not super shimmery. They are just very classic. And it doesn't hurt that they're giving back to helping save the elephants. So I will link everything I used, as always, down in the description box below. Thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. I hope you are all staying safe, healthy, and sane, and that most of all, you go out and have a very blessed day.